Hey guys, how's it going? This is Caster. Real quick, I just wanted to stop in and make a little video deck tech, I guess, on a deck I've been putting together. People have made versions of this in the past, but I've put my own little spin on it. I am playing Gregory Sola Shardmech slash Shardwork slash stuff. Let's take a look. Alright, so I've got the deck split up here into its basic, what I'm going to call engines. There are basically three sections to the deck. We have the Shard-Mech package, we have the Shardwork package, and then we have the support cards that are making that deck tick. So let's take a quick look here. We'll look at at the Shard-Mech package first. No surprise, I am playing 3 Kyari. This is kind of the card that makes the Shard-Mecha engine work now. It's our Omega unit, costs 0. We can put it on any of the Mecha units, but most commonly we're going to be putting it on a Shiru, who is our 1-drop. We can exhaust him to search our deck for a Shard-Mecha and put it under this card, or we can exhaust him to put into play as many Shard-Mecha units as possible that are under this card. So this guy is going to be our main engine. He's the reason why we have to play Sola as our spirit, because the thing with that is Omega units have kind of fake quickness. They basically have quickness, but they don't actually say it on the card. And so we can play Kyari, and then we can use him immediately to go and search our deck for a Shard-Mecha, and then Sola will untap him. And at the end of our opponent's turn, we can use him again. So with Sola, we're basically getting twice as many activations of Kyari, while also keeping him protected because he's not tapped. So that's really good. This card enables some really explosive plays. The cost for 0 is so huge. So, looking at what we're going to be putting him on, most likely is going to be Shard-Mecha Shiru. This is our 1-drop Shard-Mecha unit. He has 500 power and Guardian. Also, Ruined, so when he dies, search your deck for a Shard-Mecha Buki and add it to your hand. So all the Shard-Mechas do this thing where they kind of like scale up the ladder as they die, and they get the next version of them, which is okay. That's not how we're finding them. That's how you used to find them, but then Kyari came out and now the deck plays kind of differently. But nevertheless, when this one dies, we go and find Shard-Mecha Buki, who is our 2-drop 1000. This ability is target attack. When this card attacks a unit or is blocked, this card gets plus 500 this turn. So that's nice. And then Ruined, when it dies, you get to go look for a Shard-Mecha Tsubasa, who is our 3-drop. And Tsubasa is 3 for 1500 power. His ability is Brawler. And Ruined, search your deck for a Megashardmech Titan Yugo and add it to your hand. So these three guys kind of scale into each other. That's how the archetype originally was. We had these three, and then we had Yugo as basically it. It wasn't that great. It kind of worked, but it was awfully slow. If you could get to Yugo, it was fine, but then just one removal spell was enough to get rid of Yugo, and all your work was kind of gone. So this version of the deck aims to more swarm the field, and then if we play Yugo, sure, whatever, but that's not our main objective. But before we talk about Yugo, we did get another Shard-Mecha who actually has the Shard-Mecha type, so you can go search for it with Kyari. From, I believe, one of the LGS top 8 promo packs. You could get this from your LGS events. This is a 4-drop with 2000 power. This is King Warku. He is unblockable, which is a keyword that came out with set 3, I believe. And he has a chunk of text. While you control Underground Mech Base, you can play this card from your discard zone if it was in your hand. As if it was in your hand. So basically you can just play it out of your discard zone. If you do that, though, expel this card when it leaves the field. So it kind of has that Itan Righteous Outlaw effect, where you can play it a different way, but if you play it that way, then when it leaves, you have to expel it instead. That's fine. We're only really going to be using him once anyway. And then he has an Arrive ability, which is Arrive, you may discard a card. If you do, search your deck for an Underground Mech Base and put it into play. And if you do, you may also add a Shard-Mecha unit with cost 3 or less from your deck to your hand. So this card's a lot to take in. 4-drop 2000 unblockable is fine, honestly. We have a couple units with that stat line and ability. That's fine. But we're using him for his paragraph down here. Arrive is most often going to happen off of Kyari. We're going to use Kyari to put him into play. And then we get to go find Underground Mech Base, which we actually play one of. Older versions of this deck didn't play this card because it didn't do a lot, but now that you can play it for free, it's fine. And then while we have Mech Base, we can play him out of our discard zone. So the first time that he dies, we can get him back, basically. He also goes and finds a 3-drop or less Shard-Mecha, so he can find one of these guys. Kyari is not a Shard-Mecha, unfortunately. It's a Carriermecha, so they were careful with that. If he could tutor up Kyari, they'd be busted. So this guy enables a lot, because Underground Mech Base is a 2-drop augment to exhaust, discard a mecha unit from your hand, draw 1 card, then place 1 counter on this card. So, notably, we need a mecha unit to use that ability. King Warku gives us one, because he lets us go and search for a 3-drop or less, so that's nice. Then you can sacrifice this card with 3 or more counters, put 3 target Shard-Mecha units with different names from your discard zone into play. So again, that's only these 4. Doesn't get Kyari, also cannot get our boss monster, which we're going to look at here in a second, or sorry, one of the boss monsters. Boss units? Gotta get my terminology right. But it does allow us to reflood the board if our units haven't been expelled by anything, like perhaps an opponent's Bone Scavager or something like that, or if we haven't played Yugo. And speaking of Yugo, we are playing 2 of Yugo. 8-drop for 4,000 power is a mech, not a mecha, and is not a Shard-Mecha, is a Megashardmech. They were very careful with this card. You may expel 3 different Shard-Mecha units from your hand and or discard zone rather than pay this card's cost. Once per turn, discard 1 card, destroy target unit or augment. So the first part is most often how we're going to be playing Yugo. Importantly, this is not an activated ability. This is a replacement for the cost. So you can't do this at instant speed. You still have to do this at normal casting speed. It's just you can do that instead of paying 8 shards. I've seen some people try to like activate this on my turn or something, and that's just not how it works, unfortunately. If it was like an ability that you could activate to put him into play, that'd be crazy. And then the second part, to discard a card and to destroy target unit or augment, that's just, it's nice. You know, it's only once per turn, so we can't get around cheeky things like Juggernaut. But it's very good removal. Obviously, some things will stop it, but aside from Juggernaut, those things are fewer and far between. You might get kind of blocked out by maybe like a Glow Shard Dragon or something similar. But this is our Shardmech package. We are playing 3 Kyari and 3 Shiru. We're playing 2 Buki, 2 Tsubasa, and 2 Yugo. And then 1 King Warku and 1 Underground Mech Base. These guys are kind of added in last minute. King Warku as a 1-of is fine because we don't need his ability too much. And we can find him off of Kyari. And then he goes and finds Underground Mech Base. So we also don't need many of those. Buki and Tsubasa and Yugo at 2 is kind of a play on the fact that I don't want this deck to only do this. We have other plans, as we can see down here below. We also have a 4-card Shardwork package. I am not playing a lot of the less powerful Shardwork units, and I'm not playing the location. But I am playing 2 Shardwork Hound, who's a 1-drop 1500, sure, with target attack. 1-drop 1500 with target attack is fantastic. Now, the downside is that all the Shardwork units have an ability called Animate, in this case, Animate 1, which is whenever they want to attack or block, if they have Guardian, you have to pay 1. Some of them have Animate 2, and then you have to pay 2. So they're overly statted for their cost and their abilities, perhaps, but then they have to continuously pay for themselves. It's almost like you have to do maintenance on them every now and then to keep them working. But this is a great card. You'll notice we have a lot of target attack and a lot of Brawler. This deck is kind of also accidentally designed to get rid of 002, because in a world where 002 has been rampant for the last year, that's an important thing to do. We're playing 3 of Shardwork Dragon. This is probably one of the better Shardwork units, maybe the best Shardwork unit, depending on how you view this next one. It is a 2-drop 2000, great. With quickness, great. With Animate 1, yeah. They all have that kind of quote-unquote downside, but we have ways to deal with it. This is actually the most aggressive and fastest quickness unit in the game, I think. Even if you factor in the fact that it costs quote-unquote 3, I believe this is the best quickness unit to play still. And then we're playing 2 of the Shardwork boss unit, Shardwork Arbiter, 6-drop 5000. As an additional cost to play this card, you may exhaust any number of units you control. If you do, this card costs 1 less to play for each. Destroyer, Guardian, Overrun, Quickness, Target Attack. Animate 2. So, this is a thesaurus of a card. He has every keyword. Well, not every keyword, but he has every keyword you care about. And he has the Arbiter ability, which is something that came in Hokken. There's an Arbiter for every element, and also for Argent. And they all have to tap units of their element to make them cheaper. Notably, Shardwork Arbiter does not have to attack Argent units. Any units will work, so that's actually really cool. And then when he comes in, sometimes he can attack immediately. He has quickness, but he also has animate too. So you gotta have some extra shards lying around. Because even if you're tapping 4 units to play him, he's still 2, and then you gotta pay 2 more to attack with it. But we can kind of get around that with our 3 of Augment down here. Shardwork Heart. Cost 0. This is a gear. It can only be equipped to a Shardwork unit, and then the equipped unit ignores animate. So that's nice. On Shardwork Hound, it's okay. But more importantly, on Shardwork Dragon and Shardwork Arbiter are big units with quickness. They can attack immediately for free. So they're normally overstated and undercosted, but now they just actually are that, instead of having some kind of drawback with animate. That is the Shardwork package. Combined with the Shard-Mecha package, we actually have quite a fast deck. Kyari allows the deck to flood really well. And then when you're not doing Shard-Mecha things, you can kind of supplement your mid to late game with the Shardwork cards. Because you typically don't want to be playing these early. The Shard-Mechas kind of fill the board, if Kyari's allowed to do its thing. Other units that you do want to play early, we have some, I guess, not tech cards, they're more support cards. I'll start with Bone Scavager because every deck is sleeving up Bone Scavager nowadays. We're playing 2 of this. It expels something from a discard zone when it arrives, and you can pay 1 to expel something else, and then it gets bigger. This card has been in the game, in the format, for as long as it's been printed, and it will continue to be there until something comes up that makes it irrelevant? I don't know. I can't see something making Bone Scavager irrelevant aside from, like, a better version of Bone Scavager. Or if Jillian just takes over the meta. She's good, but the meta is still unit heavy enough that Bone Scavager will see play. He used to be a 3 of in every deck. Now I'm seeing some decks go to 2. I think I'm even seeing some decks go to 1. But every deck still plays him. And then we're coming to my Secret Spice card. Not Secret Spice card because people know about it. But I'm going to sit here and tell you, to whom it concerns, for whatever it matters. If you are playing Gregory, you should be playing 3 of Hokken Hare. To all you Gregory players out there, I'm talking to all 3 of you. Because Hokken Hare is a 1-drop 500 power. It's a beast, sure. And then Ruined, search your deck for a unit with cost 1 and add it to your hand. If we look back at Gregory's ability, which I actually skipped over now that I think about it, exhaust, sacrifice a unit, recover 1 of your shards. So his ability is just value for sacrificing a unit if we have a unit that we want to die. We have 2 main uses for that in this deck, and that is to get Kyari out of the way once Kyari's done with its thing, and to sacrifice Hokken Hare. Because we play Hokken Hare for 1, we activate Gregory to kill it and recover a shard. Hokken Hare then tutors our deck for any 1-drop, at which we now have a shard to play. Hokken Hare in Gregory is just 3 extra copies of any 1-drop that you want, which is fantastic. It helps the consistency of this deck a lot, because it very reliably finds us our 1-drop Shard-Mecha, because it's basically 3 extra copies of the 1-drop Shard-Mecha. And if we can start the game with Kyari and this 1-drop Shard-Mecha, then we have our engine going. We're off to the races, you know. We're really fast at that point. We have the board flooded turn 2, with literally 5 units sometimes. More commonly 4, but 5 can be done if you have a Great Behemoth or if you have an Arbiter. Or I guess you could just Soul Burst Sola. I don't know. I don't judge. Hokken Hare, 10 out of 10. Love this card. Want them in foil. Want this in full art. Somehow. I love him. Also, he's cute. Moving on. 2 of Eccentric Visitor. This card's been good for a long time. It's a 3-drop 2000. And then when it arrives, if you have 2 or more destroyed towers, you may flip your spirit face up. We're basically just playing all of the good Argent units because we have an Argent champion. So the colors we can play of an element are actually pretty limited. Eccentric Visitor is more of a mid to late game card. We're not playing him early because sometimes our opponent might just not have gotten off to a fast start. We don't get his effect. He is statted fine, and he's more here to supplement our mid to late game, as I said. He allows you to use your Sola more than once, or maybe to use your Corona Shard more than once, which will help us push through. We can have an army of Guardian units later, or we can get rid of one of our opponent's big units later, just so we can keep attacking with our army of Shard-Mechas and Shardworks. And the last Argent unit that we are playing is a 1 of Great Behemoth. This serves kind of the same function as our 2 copies of Shardwork Arbiter, in that after the Shard-Mechas flood the board, we can play this to fill up our last slot, and then now our field is really scary. And he's really cheap. He gets cheaper to play the more units that we have. He costs 5 for 3,000 power, but he's 1 less to play for each unit you control with cost 2 or less. Units you control with cost 2 or less get plus 1,000. So what will end up happening oftentimes is Kyari will be placed onto a Shiru, and then using Kyari's ability, we'll go and find a Buki and a Warku. And so when we activate Kyari, we end up with 3 units on the field that have cost 2 or less, assuming we haven't Soul Bursted Sola, assuming we haven't done anything else. And Great Behemoth will often cost 2, sometimes even 1 Shard Light. So getting this guy down on that turn is very, very powerful. The light package. This light package will look very strange to a lot of people because, I'm going to be frank, with what our deck is doing, light does not have a bunch of good splashable cards. Sometimes if you're splashing light, you want to lean more into the control element. You want to play the finishing rays. You want to play the Omega Magic Hikaris. Things of that nature. I'm playing 2 quote-unquote aggressive cards, and then 2 copies of Astonishing Betrayal. Corum Squire is a 1-drop 1,000 that we can find with Hokken Hare. And its ruined ability is important, actually. A lot of cards, as it turns out, say that you can search for a gear with cost 1. Corum Squire specifically finds a gear with cost 1 or less. So we can go and find our Shardwork Hearts. He will not be played that often. He is more here... Well, he won't be played early that often, unless we absolutely have to. More so, he is here to supplement our mid to late game. He gets the heart, so we can put it on our dragons, we can put it on our arbiter, so we can put it on whatever needs it. We play no other gear. I debated playing, True King's Great Sword, and trying out that package, because we need more Argent cards, let's be honest. But, that's what he does. He finds Shardwork Heart, and Shardwork Heart lets us attack our opponent quickly. It's fine. 3 Yuki the Lightning Flash, because this unit is free, and free units are good. It costs 3 for 2,000 power with target attack. If this card is in your hand, after one of your towers is destroyed, put this card into play. It's free. And again, it has target attack. It plays into the kill your Repro Bloom strategy, which is nice. The last 2 cards are Astonishing Betrayal, a 1-drop spell with instacast. Destroy target unit that dealt damage this turn. So this is fine for removal. It feels kind of bad because it means you're a little behind, because it can't kill something until after it's already done damage. So maybe one of your units has died. Maybe your tower got destroyed. But more importantly, Astonishing Betrayal is in here as a 2-buff to deal with Nova Knight. The Nova Knight problem is maybe not a problem, because I know that decks built around the Nova Knight combo are less consistent. They have to sacrifice other elements to play it. But it is a problem for us. We only have... I'm not going to count this guy as a Guardian because he's huge and we want to attack with him. We only have the 1 Guardian in the form of the Shard-Mecha Shiru. I guess we could, Soul Burst Sola, but we want to be attacking more often than not. So we need ways to defend ourselves against Nova Knight and her infinite attacks. And Astonishing Betrayal is that card for us. It's cheap. It's not that easy to get, but we're also going through our deck pretty quickly. When you look at the Shard-Mechas tutoring each other, Corum Squire can tutor at a gear. We can go through the deck pretty fast sometimes. Yeah. Other than that, we're playing the 5 basic towers. Looking at the other ones, there's no reason to play any of the different towers. You could play Tower of Embers if you're worried about aggro, but again, with all the target attack and brawler that we have in this deck, I don't think we need to be worried about aggro too much. We have ways to deal with it. Tower of Surging Radiance was something I considered for a little bit because I am playing Sola. It can put in a 3-drop for free. And being able to put in most of our deck is pretty nice. But it also requires you to be behind in towers destroyed, and that's not my goal. So I don't want to plan for something that is the opposite of what I would like. Don't plan for failure, as I've heard some people say. And then we're playing the basic shard package. We're playing 6 Argent Shard, 1 Corona the Spirit Ruby, and 3 Hallowed Crystal. Again, we only have a few Guardians, but there's no reason to not play this. We can buff up our Shardwork Arbiter because it needs it. Actually, it might need it. This thing has Overrun, so if your opponent blocks with, a Skytree blockade ship, this ensures you can... I don't know. It still pops Tower of Surging Shadows. Sure, let's go with that. But yeah, this is Gregory Sola. I'm actually going to be playing this deck in Lee's event this Friday in the Tavern Brawlers Discord. I'll drop some links to that down in the description. And I'll also go ahead and put this deck list in text form down in the description for anyone who wants it. Give it a shot. It's really fast if you get the Kyari start. Even if you don't get the Kyari start, you'll find it soon enough. The problem is you want to find it sooner so that it's more resilient, because the less resources your opponent has to kill Kyari, the more likely you can just explode. I like it a lot, and I hope you guys like it too. This has been Caster, and take care, everyone.